Have you noticed these wild swings in American competency? What I mean is, one moment, the U.S. is the world's superpower capable of extracting Venezuela's leader Nicolas Maduro from his own country, or the U.S. can send its military deep into mountainous Iranian territory to extract and rescue one airman whose jet had been shot down. And then the next moment, we have this.
Every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. You don't mind when the enemy is weak, but that enemy is strong. Not so strong like they were about a month ago. I can tell you, in fact, right now they're not too strong at all, in my opinion, but we're soon going to find out, aren't we?
In other words, how can the U.S. be so competent at times in this war, but also such a hot mess?
It's a great question. And I think what we are seeing is incredible tactical military operations that the civilian leadership, both in the White House and in the Defense Department, cannot connect to achieving political goals.
That's Kori Schake of the American Enterprise Institute, a think tank in Washington, D.C. Kori is the author of The State and the Soldier, a history of civil-military relations in the United States. She says we have to keep in mind the way the military is set up in the U.S.
In the American system, the military is completely subordinate to civilian control. So it is the president who sets the strategy, it's the president who determines the resources, and the military's job is to do the best they can with whatever the political leadership gives them. And very often, especially during the wars the U.S. has fought in the 21st century, the political goals are ill-defined but very ambitious, and the resources are inadequate to achieve those goals.
Speaking of political goals, what happens when a president keeps changing his mind? President Donald Trump first declared he wanted regime change, then it was about destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities, and now it's downgraded to just getting the oil flowing again.
I think what you have seen through the course of the Iran war is General Kane, the American chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, trying desperately to keep reiterating what are the military objectives that the administration has established. And the Secretary of Defense and the National Security Advisor and the President talking much more grandiosely about what they want to achieve. And so the military keeps trying to discipline the system to things that are achievable by military force. But the civilians are running wild.
The civilians are running wild. So what if that civilian leadership in the White House makes a decision the military believes is a terrible, catastrophic call, such as using ground troops to invade Karg Island, Iran's main oil export hub, a likely heavily booby-trapped site according to defense analysts?
You do it anyway, right? Like, you don't get to choose what orders you obey. You do it anyway. American soldiers and Marines have traversed minefields in every war we fought in Iraq and all over the place. I mean, the military does hard, dangerous things. That's what they do. I would distinguish between three things. Melissa, you outlined a dangerous but lawful military order. There's no doubt that has to be obeyed. There's a second category, which we call lawful but awful, which is asking the military to do things that are of questionable legality, but the civilian leadership has determined that they are legal. The boat strikes are in that category. The Venezuela operation is in that category. And the military's lawyers get trumped by the civilian lawyers in the secretary's office, and they get trumped by the civilian lawyers in the Justice Department. So if the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel says it's legal, and a military officer refuses to obey an order, they will be taken into custody, imprisoned, face a court-martial, and the burden of proof is on that soldier that the order was unlawful. So you're asking somebody to go up against the Justice Department's top lawyers when the president says it's legal. And that, I think, is an unfair burden to put on the shoulders of the military. The third category is a patently illegal order, fire on protesters. That's where the not following orders injunction comes in. And I don't believe any American military, man or woman, would follow a patently illegal order. But that's not the dangerous middle ground. The dangerous middle ground is lawful but awful. But let me just talk you through what that actually looks like, because we, in our public discourse, telescope down very quickly to the military shouldn't obey illegal orders. But we skip over the president shouldn't issue illegal orders and the Secretary of Defense shouldn't transmit illegal orders. We are putting on the shoulders of our military the preservation of legality that ought to sit at higher levels. And that's where accountability should rest.
So we've shifted a bit away from the starting point of our conversation, looking at the U.S. military's tactical capabilities and successes compared to the lack of strategic focus on the part of the White House. But I took our talk in this direction because it's a bit of a mind pretzel. The U.S. military can pull off incredibly difficult missions because civilian leadership orders it to do so. And the U.S. can also find itself making bad foreign policy decisions because civilian leadership knows it has a military it can count on.
You can't have an effective military if everybody's personal beliefs are constantly adjudicating orders. There is the assumption that orders are legal and ethical. And the challenge comes when you have what the military ethicist Pauline Shanks-Coran calls the unprincipled principle. Because the system's predicated on the belief that the orders that are being issued are going to be legal. And you can't have an effective military if that's getting adjudicated while operations are going on.
A generally unquestioning military sounds problematic, but Kori has explained the rationale for the system and the legal procedures in place. She left me with one final thought.
I think it's really important to remember that the military cannot save us from the people we elect to run the country. Moreover, it's not their job to save us. It's our job to hold the civilians accountable for the choices civilians are making, rather than expect the military to do the hard work that we should be doing as citizens, as voters, and as people who care about America and the world.
And on that note, my takeaway from the conversation with Kori is that we should think about the U.S. military as a fairly consistent operation, but led by a commander-in-chief elected every 4 years of deeply varying leadership qualities. And that is why we see these swings where the United States seems unstoppable one minute and stuck in the mud the next. That's all for now. DW News is giving you the latest and also sharing deep dives on here and across the rest of social media. I'm Melissa Chan. Until next time.